Good morning. It's Pastor Mark McDonald with First United Methodist Church of Batesville, Arkansas, here with a morning devotional as we begin our day. I've been thinking about what I learned from the sermon that I preached Sunday. Yes, when I preach them, I learn a lot about scriptures. And this was one you may recall I mentioned that I have never preached on before. It was about Deborah in the book of Judges. Deborah was one of the judges. And so it was a strong female figure that was a leader of Israel. But there were several things throughout there that I learned about her. There were many, many names in the scriptures for her, such as warrior. She was a warrior, a leader of the army, a judge, a poet, a prophetess, a singer, and a songwriter. I mean, it's like she was everything for everybody. She was what they would have considered one of the perfect judges of the Bible. So I learned a lot about that, but I started realizing how many people do we know that are just like that? I mean, can we really be all things to all people? And it dawned on me that in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, Paul writes this: although I'm free from all people, I make myself a slave to all people to recruit more of them. I act like a Jew to the Jews so I can recruit the Jews. I act like I'm under the law to those under the law so I can recruit those who are under the law. I act like I'm outside the law to those who are outside the law so I can recruit those outside the law. Though I'm not outside the law, he says. I act weak to the weak so I can recruit the weak. And here's the phrase. Here's the one that popped in my mind. 1 Corinthians 9, verse 22b. So that's after the verse 22 has more than one sentence in it. It's the second sentence. I have become all things to all people so I could save some by all possible means. And it hit me. That is a word for today. Being all things to all people, as Paul starts off this passage, he says, although I have all the rights, I'm free, I give up those rights. Although I'm free from all people, I make myself a slave to all people. He is a servant to others. Today, in a time where it seems like our nation is just divided half and half right now, the Republicans and the Democrats, the Trump and the Biden, and all that we're facing and fussing about in these days, what a powerful word to remind us of the example of Jesus Christ, that he didn't come to rule it over anybody. He came to set us free, and to do that, he showed us that by being a servant to us. God, made flesh, became a servant to us. Us who are sinful and selfish and self-righteous, and Jesus became a servant to us. What an example that Paul is saying here. To be all things to all people means that we should humble ourselves before others and stop the sense that we have to lord it over somebody with what is absolutely right. What is right is the love that Christ embodied. So today I want to challenge you to think of that. Think of the fact that we're called not to stand for our rights, but to set them aside in the name of the love of Jesus Christ. As we see people who differ from us, Paul would say, just listen, follow, try to understand them, become who they are, because at some point when somebody knows that you're listening to them, they start listening to you, and then you can share that love of Christ in a way that only you can. I hope you have a blessed day today, and of course, #be a blessing.